Hi, it's Sue with today's Bible reading for February 1st. And with the new month, we're starting a new book, the book of Leviticus. I'll be reading chapters 1 through 4 from the World English Bible. And this is another semi-long book. There are 10 different readings from this book. And my new Bible, which is a modern English version, has a little blurb in the front of it about the book. So I'm going to read that to you by way of introduction to the book. It's just one paragraph. It says the third book of Moses, called Leviticus. So that's the third book of the Pentateuch, which is the first five books of the Bible are what are included in the Pentateuch. So it says Leviticus was probably written between 1440 and 1400 BC. Jewish tradition and the New Testament writers attribute this book to Moses. Leviticus covers events in 1445 and 1444 BC. Its theme is holiness and sacrifice. The setting for this book is at the foot of Mount Sinai, where the people are encamped. Leviticus was written to the priests, the Levites, and the people of Israel. It is a guidebook for teaching God's people about holy living and worship. The vocabulary of sacrifice pervades the book and includes words such as priest, sacrifice, blood, and offering. In Leviticus, Moses instructed the Levitical priests and the people of Israel concerning sacrifices, worship, the priesthood, ceremonial cleanness, the Day of Atonement, feasts and holy days, and the year of Jubilee. Chapter 1, verse 1. Yahweh called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of the meeting, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when any one of you offers an offering to Yahweh, you shall offer your offering of the livestock from the herd and from the flock. Now, there's a footnote that says Yahweh is God's proper name, sometimes rendered Lord, all caps, in other translations. Verse 3. In his offering is a burnt offering from the herd. He shall offer a male without defect. I'm sorry, it says, if his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he shall offer a male without defect. He shall offer it at the door of the tent of the meeting, that he may be accepted before Yahweh. He shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. He shall kill the bull before Yahweh. Aaron's sons, the priests, shall present the blood and sprinkle the blood around the altar that is at the door of the tent of the meeting. He shall skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. The sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire on the altar and lay wood in order on the fire. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall lay the pieces, the head and the fat, in order on the wood that is on the fire, which is on the altar. But he shall wash its inwards and its legs with water. The priest shall burn all of it on the altar for a burnt offering, an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. If this offering is from the flock, from the sheep, or from the goats, for a burnt offering, he shall offer a male without defect. He shall kill it on the north side of the altar before Yahweh. Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle its blood around the altar. He shall cut it into its pieces with its head and its fat. The priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire, which is on the altar, but the innards and the legs he shall wash with water. The priest shall offer the whole and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. If his offering to Yahweh is a burnt offering of birds, then he shall offer his offering from turtle doves or of young pigeons. The priest shall bring it to the altar and wring off its head and burn it on the altar, and its blood shall be drained out on one side of the altar, and he shall take away its crop and its feathers and cast it beside the altar on the east part in the places of the ashes. He shall tear it by its wings, but shall not divide it apart. The priest shall burn it on the altar on the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. When anyone offers an offering of a meal offering to Yahweh, his offering shall be of fine flour. He shall pour oil on it and put frankincense on it. He shall bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests. He shall take his handful of its fine flour and of its oil with all its frankincense, and the priest shall burn its memorial on the altar, an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. That which is left of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a most holy part of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. When you offer an offering of a meal offering baked in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. If your offering is a meal offering made on a griddle, it shall be of unleavened fine flour mixed with oil. You shall cut it in pieces and pour oil on it. It is a meal offering. If your offering is a meal offering of the pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. You shall bring the meal offering that is made of these things to Yahweh. It shall be presented to the priest, and he shall bring it to the altar. The priest shall take from the meal offering its memorial, and shall burn it on the altar, an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. That which is left of the meal offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is the most holy part of the offering of Yahweh made by fire. No meal offering which you shall offer to Yahweh shall be made with yeast. You shall burn no yeast nor any honey as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. As an offering of first fruits you shall offer them to Yahweh, but they shall not rise up as a pleasant aroma on the altar. That's interesting. Every offering of your meal offering you shall season with salt. You shall not allow the salt of the covenant of your God to be lacking from your meal offering. With all your offerings you shall offer. Okay, now it has another footnote where it says, you shall not allow the salt of the covenant of your God to be lacking from your meal offering. That word from God there is actually the word Elohim. Just FYI for those of you who are interested in the names of God throughout the scripture. Verse 14, if you offer a meal offering of first fruits to Yahweh, you shall offer for the meal offering of your first fruits fresh heads of grain, parched with fire and crushed. You shall put oil on it and lay frankincense on it. It is a meal offering. The priest shall burn as its memorial part of the crushed grain and part of its oil, along with all its frankincense. It is an offering made by fire to Yahweh. If his offering is a sacrifice of peace offerings, if he offers it from the herd, whether male or female, he shall offer it without defect before Yahweh. He shall lay his hand on the head of his offering and kill it at the door of the tent of the meeting. Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood around the altar. He shall offer of the sacrifice of peace offerings an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that's on the innards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that's on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys he shall take it away. Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar on the burnt offering, which is on the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. If his offering for a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yahweh is from the flock, either male or female, he shall offer it without defect. If he offers a lamb for his offering, then he shall offer it before Yahweh. And he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering and kill it before the tent of meeting. Aaron's son shall sprinkle its blood around on the altar. He shall offer from the sacrifice of peace offerings an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Its fat, the entire tail fat, he shall take away close to the background and the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that's on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver and the kidneys he shall take away. What's the cover on the liver, I wonder? I guess there's some kind of flap maybe over the liver. I don't know. I haven't seen that part of the anatomy. Verse 11, the priest shall burn it on the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire to Yahweh. If his offering is a goat, then he shall offer it before Yahweh. He shall lay his hand on its head and kill it before the tent of the meeting, and the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle its blood around the altar. He shall offer from it as his offering an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that's on the innards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys he shall take away. The priest shall burn them on the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire, for a pleasant aroma. All the fat is Yahweh's. It shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings, that you shall eat neither fat nor blood. Now, to me, that's also a nutritional principle, even though that may not be what it is in this context. That's kind of a warning to me about the fat and the blood. I don't know. What do you think? Chapter 4, last chapter. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, if anyone sins unintentionally in any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and does any of them, if the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, Then let him offer for his sin which he has sinned a young bull without defect to Yahweh for a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the door of the tent of the meeting before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the bull and kill the bull before Yahweh. The anointed priest shall take some of the blood of the bull and bring it to the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahweh, before the veil of the sanctuary. The priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the sweet incense before Yahweh, which is in the tent of the meeting. He shall pour out the rest of the blood of the bull at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. He shall take all the fat of the bull of the sin offering from it, the fat that covers the innards, all the fat that's on the innards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys he shall remove, as it is removed from the bull of the sacrifice of the peace offerings. The priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering. He shall carry the bull's skin with all its meat and its head and its legs and its inwards and its dung, all the rest of the bull outside the camp, to a clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. It shall be burned where the ashes are poured out. If the whole congregation of Israel sins, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and are guilty, when the sin in which they have sinned is known, then the assembly shall offer a young bull for a sin offering and bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be killed before Yahweh. The anointed priest shall bring some of the blood of the bull to the tent of the meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh before the veil. He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar which is before Yahweh, that is in the tent of the meeting, and the rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering which is at the door of the tent of the meeting. All its fat he shall take from it and burn on the altar. He shall do this with the bull, as he did with the bull of the sin offering, so he shall do with this. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and they shall be forgiven. He shall carry the bull outside the camp, and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. When a ruler sins and unwittingly does any one of all the things which Yahweh his God has commanded not to be done, and is guilty, if his sin in which he has sinned is made known to him, he shall bring as his offering a goat, a male without defect. He shall lay his hand on the head of the goat and kill it in the place where they killed the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He shall pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. All its fat he shall burn on the altar like the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, he will be forgiven. If any one of the common people sins unwittingly in doing any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and is guilty, if his sin which he has sinned is made known to him, then he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without defect for his sin which he has sinned. He shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and kill the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and the rest of its blood shall be poured out at the base of the altar. All its fat he shall take away, like the fat is taken away from the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pleasant aroma to Yahweh, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and he will be forgiven. If he brings a lamb as his offering for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without defect. He shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they killed the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and all the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. He shall remove all its fat like the fat of the lamb is removed from its sacrifice of peace offering. The priest shall burn them at the altar on the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin that he has sinned, and he will be forgiven. And that is it. That's it for today's reading for Leviticus 1 through 4. Hope you'll join me tomorrow. See you then. God bless you.